Welcome to all XII Union High School and Junior College, Pune, Economics, Standard 12. Chapter 3B, Elasticity of Demand. In the last session, we have studied two important methods of measuring elasticity of demand. Let us proceed to the third method, which is known as point or geometric method of measuring price elasticity of demand. The first two methods, that is ratio or percentage method and total outlay or expenditure method, does not measure elasticity of demand at any given point on a demand curve. This method is known as point method because it measures elasticity of demand on a given point on a demand curve. This method is also developed by Professor Alfred Marshall. Let us understand how to measure elasticity of demand according to point or geometric method. According to this method, at any point on the demand curve, elasticity of demand is measured with the help of this given formula. Point elasticity of demand ED equals to lower segment of demand curve below a given point upon upper segment of demand curve above a given point. Lower segment is denoted by capital L, upper segment is denoted by capital U. Therefore, ED is equal to L upon U. There could be two types of demand curves. The first one is a linear demand curve. It means a straight line demand curve. And the second, non-linear demand curve, which means non-straight line demand curve. In the first case, suppose a linear demand curve is given, that is a straight line demand curve. First of all, we have studied a demand curve is a downward sloping curve from left to right. Here we can notice it is a straight line demand curve. Now suppose this straight line demand curve begins from here to here. You are going to extend it to the y-axis and extend it to the x-axis. Meaning thereby, on a straight line demand curve which intersects, means which touches both the axes, we measure elasticity of demand by using this formula. So my demand curve is AB. At any point on this demand curve, you can measure elasticity of demand. Let us see. At point P, at the center here we have got a point P. At this point, if I want to measure elasticity, how do I measure? At point P, elasticity of demand is equal to lower segment upon the upper segment L upon U. Now what is the lower segment? PB is the lower segment upon PA, upper segment. So at point P, elasticity of demand is equal to PB upon PA. Now we assume that this segment AB demand curve is 8 centimeters. So if PB, it is at the center, so you have, this will be 4 upon 4 equals to 1. That means in this case, at this point P, the elasticity of demand is equal to 1. Therefore, it is unitary elastic demand. Let us proceed. At point P1, what do you notice? The elasticity of demand at point P1 equals to lower segment. This is my lower segment. P1B, sorry, upon, this is my upper segment, P1A. Now this is 2 upon 6, which gives me 0.33. This is less than 1, so elasticity is less than 1, that is relatively inelastic demand at this point P1. Come to P2. Elasticity of demand at point P2 equals to P2B, lower segment, upon P2A. This is 6, this is 2. So 6 upon 2 gives me 3. It is something greater than 1. Therefore, E is greater than 1. So it is a case of relatively elastic demand. Come to point A at the top. It starts at it touches at the y-axis. Here point A. So elasticity of demand is infinite. This is the whole thing is the lower segment, which is infinite, no limit, and the upper segment is 0 upon 0. So lower upon upper segment, infinite upon 0 is equal to infinite. Therefore, it is a case of perfectly elastic demand. Opposite, come to point B. Elasticity at point B is equal to lower segment, which is 0, upon this whole thing, infinite you could say. So 0 upon infinite equals to 0. Here at point B, E is 0. That is, at point B, it is perfectly inelastic demand. So if it is a linear demand curve, or at any point on the demand curve, you can measure the elasticity of demand according to this point method. But suppose if you do not have a straight line demand curve, but you are given a non-straight line demand curve, non-linear demand curve, DD, then you have to first draw a tangent to this curve. You all understand by the word tangent, it is drawing one straight line which touches this circle or this demand curve at only one point. So I have drawn one tangent over here, AB. It is touching only at one point, and that is point E. I have named it. Now you get a straight line demand curve which intercepts both the axes, AB, which is similar to this now. Adopt the same formula to calculate elasticity of demand. The formula will be point elasticity of demand equals to lower segment, lower tangent of the demand curve below a given point upon upper tangent of the demand curve above a given point. So we call it as tangent instead of segment. Let us calculate elasticity of demand. N upon U, same formula. If EB, this is my lower part and this is my upper part. If EB upon EA is equal, then it is a case of E is equal to 1, that is unitary elastic demand. If the point is here, the demand curve is here, you will draw one tangent over here. So, if the point is here, you draw a tangent over here then. So, if EB, that is the lower part, is greater, because I have a curve over here. So, this will become my EB. So, if EB is greater than EA, it is more elastic, so it is E greater than 1. So, conclusion is, it will be a case of this, at this point, elasticity of demand will be greater than 1, so it is relatively elastic demand. Suppose you have over here the curve. You draw one tangent over here, then this will be your lower part and this will be your upper part. So, if EB is less than EA, it will be E less than 1. It is at this point, then the point elasticity of demand will be known as relatively inelastic demand. So, we can measure price elasticity of demand according to point method or geometric method if it is a linear demand curve and if it is a non-linear demand curve. Now, why this is known as point method? Because we are measuring at any point on the demand curve. Why you feel that the name geometric method is given? Because we are involving tangent, which is a part of geometry, and therefore appropriate names to the method have been given for measuring price elasticity of demand. Therefore, thus we have three important methods to measure price elasticity of demand. All three are distinct. The first one that we have studied is ratio or proportionate method, taking the ratio of percentages of quantity demanded change to a change in price. Second is total expenditure or outlay method. We calculate the total expenditures before the price change and after the price change and compare. And third method is point or geometric method. We take at any point on the demand curve, we can calculate the elasticity of demand. Thank you.